Good day, everyone. My goodness, I got to um bring the hair back down. I put some makeup on earlier, and then the hair was still back. Anyhow, um, it's Tuesday. Welcome to Real Talk Tuesday, and I hope you guys are having an amazing day so far. My name is Crystal Kiefer, and I am with Crystal Kiefer Inspired, and I'm an artist, writer, and photographer, and you will find so much encouragement here. My goal is to help women and men, mainly women, that's who find me the most, um, help them to peel back the layers of and take off the mask and trade limited thinking for the truth. And you'll find that in my art, through my writing, through me just encouraging you, through coaching that I do for some women, mentoring, all those good things. But every Tuesday, we do Real Talk Tuesday here. I missed you guys last week. I had a deadline for something, but I am back on today. So today's topic is embracing the mess. We don't like to talk about messy things, do we? It can be messy, right? Um, I did a painting workshop, and I love to do this workshop because it's so profound, and it's actually how my collection kind of got started. You can see part of the collection behind me. It's called the Come Alive collection, and I've got some other pieces over here on the wall. But when I used to show up to my canvas, when I used to go paint, I always thought that everything had to be perfect. I thought I had to make perfect lines, color inside the box. I thought I had to be, just very precise when I painted, or if I drew something, or if I created something. But then I went through the season as I was like beginning to express emotions, and I just showed up to my canvas one day and things began to change. And so I started making a mess on my canvas. And the first time that I did it, it felt so wrong. It felt so different. It felt odd. It felt like, what am I doing? My colors weren't even like coming out the way I wanted them to. Because I love bright colors like pinks and oranges and teals and stuff like that. But it was that concept of making a mess on the canvas on purpose. And so that's how I began to break loose from like that perfectionism and the idea in my mind that I had to show up a certain way in order for it to be something. And so I did this workshop with my women's ministry group, and I've done it before. It was called the Releasing Perfectionism workshop, but this particular time I did it recently. The women signed up for painting, and I got over to them, and they were all excited, and they were just like, we're gonna paint a picture, we're gonna paint. And I was like, I'll get to that in just a little bit. We'll cover that in just a moment, because there was like a lot going on. And so I finally get over to them, and I'm asking them, which colors they like and stuff like that. And I said, okay, guys, we are not painting a cute little picture. We're not painting a cute little image on our canvas, because all of our canvases are going to be different by the time we leave. And I said, we are going to make a mess on this canvas on purpose. And you begin to see the faces of the people go from it was like, we're going to do what now? And I'm like, trust me, we're going somewhere with this, okay? And so it is such a crazy concept to make a mess on a canvas on purpose. Because what I begin to see, and you begin to see the ladies like afraid to make that first mark, afraid to just take that paintbrush and just go across the canvas with no purpose. It's hard. It stretches us on the inside. And it's actually a deep concept, because it's doing more for us and to us to be able to show up to that canvas and actually make a mess on purpose. I began to see like the walls that they were beginning to put up. I began to see that it was so physically hard for some to just blend colors or to just add another color on top, for it to just not have any meaning or purpose right then and there. So many times when we're in the messy parts, when we're in that messy middle, when we're facing life and it looks messy, we don't seem to find the meaning of that mess and why we're going through it right then and there. We were in that hard part, that hard stage, and it doesn't make sense. But as we embrace it and as we walk through it and as we face another day or face another week or face another month, we're able to look back like 2 weeks ago, we're able to look back like a month ago, and we're able to see, you know what, and begin to put pieces of the puzzle together. And so when we think about a flower that's in the garden, a beautiful flower, when we plant a seed doesn't grow just right off the bat in light. It has to be planted in the dark, dirty dirt. And it has to be watered. It has to be nurtured. It has to be cared for. And then out of the dirt, out of the mess in the ground, it begins to grow, and then it blooms into this beautiful, beautiful flower or plant or, whatever. And so a lot of times it's the same for us. We don't like the messiness. We don't like when life gets hard, or when we don't know what the next day or second is going to bring. Because so many times as women, and I think I talked about this maybe 2 weeks ago, that we like to have all the pieces lined up. We like to have a plan. We like to know what's going to happen today, what's going to happen this time, what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen tonight. We like to know that stuff. But when we don't have any clue, or it's uncertain and we don't know what's going on, then we begin to feel a certain way. But let me encourage you to begin to embrace the messy parts of life. Embrace that messy middle. Embrace all of the things that you may have to walk through, because it's doing something. It's going to take you from where you are and you can't see what's happening. You can't see what's going on. And it's going to place you to where you're going. And when you get there, you'll be able to look back and like, oh my goodness, that's why. It makes sense now. Wow. So when I talked about earlier about me showing up to my canvas that very first time to like make a mess, it wasn't planned, it wasn't intentional, but that's what happened that particular day. I got finished with that canvas, and then I looked at it and I was like, ugh, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I like this. I'm not sure about this. And then the next day I came back to it. I just let it sit for a little bit. The next day I came back to it, and the Lord began to speak to me. And he said, this is your emotions. You're processing your emotions. And I was like, oh, okay. And during that time, I was kind of like in the process of like grieving, having a hysterectomy. And I had all these feelings inside, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just needed an outlet to do something. So I was just painting. And he was saying that you're processing your emotions. And out of that, like so much came out of it. Like that messy part, that messy, nitty gritty stuff that just had me feeling like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know about this, I began to embrace it. And as I began to embrace that messy, abstract painting, and mind you, I used to hate abstracts because I didn't understand them. So now I've got abstracts behind me, and I actually love it because there is meaning behind it. And with every painting that I paint, and a lot of times, like, and I didn't get this for a while, because as soon as you put some paint on a canvas, that's like your first layer. And then it takes another layer, it takes another layer, and it takes another layer. And before it gets to the finished part, there are some parts in the beginning where I say this a lot, and I know a lot of other artists deal with it too, is that messy middle. It's that part where you kind of see it coming together, but it's not making sense. And a lot of times it stretches you. It stretches everything inside of you. And a lot of times I get to that, I say a lot of times, like, I want to trash this painting. Like, I don't even want to go any further. Like, I get kind of aggravated with it. I get mad with it. I get frustrated with it. And I really want to trash it. And so sometimes I have to reach out to, like, one of my art friends. And I'm like, girl, listen, this is where I'm at. And she's like, okay, let it sit. Just let it sit for a little bit. Don't touch it. Don't mess it up. Just walk away from it. And so I begin to walk away from it. And I just let it sit. I put the paintbrushes down, I wash them off, I put the paint up, I turn the light off, and I leave the room. And then the next day, like, it's almost like it has to marinate some. And then the next day, I come back to it and I have a fresh set of eyes. Just like we approach every single day, each day that we are gifted is a brand new day. It's a fresh set of, we get to approach it with a fresh set of eyes, a new set of eyes. What happened yesterday is gone. What happened last night is over. But what we have in front of us is a new day. And when we begin to embrace the mess, like, life is messy. Perfectionism gets us nowhere. It has us chasing stuff. And the root, I was trying to dissect this a few weeks ago, and the root of perfectionism is rooted in what other people think about me. And it's rooted in, well, if I show up this way, someone's going to see it and they might see, like, all this other stuff. So I have to show up looking like I've got it all together, looking like it's perfect. What are we doing? We're pleasing people. Okay? We don't want to do that. We don't want to please people. Like, forget all that nonsense. We want to show up because everybody has some stuff that they're walking through. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a testimony. Everybody has something that makes up who they are. Perfect life, a perfect family, a perfect this, perfect that, does not make up the bulk of who we are. We have some stuff, some junk, some mess, some things in our closet, some things that we had to walk through, some trauma, some wounds, some stuff. And that makes up who we are. And we get to embrace that stuff because all of that stuff becomes a part of our story. And our stories are powerful because what we walked through will help somebody else walk through the hard thing. Will help somebody else begin to embrace those messy parts of life. We help somebody else be able to stand a little bit taller that day. So it's time that we just encourage ourselves. You know what? Life is messy. All right, it's going to be fun. How can we make it fun? How can we make it enjoyable? We can. It's all about our perspective, the way we see it, and how we approach it. Just like I said about the paintings, it's that messy middle where I want to toss it out. But as I begin to show up to it every single day, little by little, making progress on it, then it becomes a masterpiece painting. But it has to go through those messy parts first before it gets to where it's going to become, before it gets to what it's going to become. I hope that's making sense. And I know that's for somebody today. Like, embrace the messy middle. And someone saying your freedom will set others free too as they watch your journey. Absolutely. And I always say too, some people are afraid to share their story, and some people, and it takes time to get to that point where you can look at your story and you can see God in your story, and you can see how He was bringing all of those pieces together, and we get to a place where we can look at the past and we're okay with it and begin to grab a hold of God as He walks us through healing and mending those broken pieces to put us planted in another area, and we can look back and say, you know what, that was hard, but now I get to bring some other people through it. Absolutely. And there were some other parts to, like, that painting workshop that I did. So as the ladies began to make a mess on their canvas, I began to see something being lifted. It's like they went from, yay, we're going to paint a pretty picture, to, oh, what? We're going to make a mess? I'm not sure about this, to like barely getting that first stroke in that painting in that canvas, to like all of those processes that they went through, like from one stage to another stage to another stage. And I just sat back and watched, and I began to see how they got free in painting. They began to embrace that messiness, embrace the different colors, embrace the paintbrush going across the canvas in a certain way without it having a certain place where it needed to be. It wasn't making a flower. It wasn't making a certain thing, but there was going to be beauty that came out of it. And I told a lot of them, hold on to it. I know it seems crazy. I know it seems off the wall and very different, but let it sit and ask the Lord what he wants to speak through it. And I knew that he was going to speak something through it. And so this is a part that I wrote down because after that workshop, I was breaking down like what it was doing. And so I said it's such a strange concept, but it's deep and it reaches us within the areas of confinement that limit us. So it reaches us deep in the areas of confinement that limits us. It helps us break away from those walls that keep us bound, giving us space to experience freedom in a beautiful new way. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So coloring outside the lines and beginning to see the beauty in the process. There's so much beauty in the process. Only if we take time to sit, to look, and to see it. Because I mentioned before, there is beauty that we miss. We miss out on the beauty that's around us if we're too busy, if we're too fixed and focused on a certain thing, if we are just trying to get from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and just pile our day full with all kinds of tasks. We miss out on that beauty. But you guys, I hope you find encouragement to embrace the messiness. It's messy. It's crazy. It won't make sense in the beginning, but I promise you, as you begin to embrace it, as you begin to show up anyways and say, you know what, this is crazy, but I'm here. I'm here for it. And just begin to find space to enjoy it, find things to do in the middle of that messiness in life. Get outside of your normal and do something different. Go do something fun. And you'll begin to see how the pieces come together. And then put it in God's hands and like, Lord, okay, this is yours. I'm here. I'm going to embrace it. Whatever you're doing, I trust you. I give everything to you. Stretch me, mend me, do whatever you got to do. But I'm trusting you. And just trust him through that process. And he'll get you from where you are in that messiness and to where he wants to take you. So you guys, I hope that encourages you. And I hope you're having a wonderful week. And I've been sharing this on pretty much a lot of the Real Talk Tuesday episodes. We have a conference coming up in Charleston, and it's called the Rise Up Conference, and it's for creatives and prophetic scribes. And I have a video. I'm gonna share it. Hopefully after this live, I'll post it and share it in the page. But a prophetic scribe, many people ask, what is that? For the short version, it's basically a prophet, but they operate in three main areas: creativity, instruction, and administration. And you begin to see that, how they operate in those three areas throughout their life. It's like they flow in it, they walk in it. And a lot of times they are writers. They write curriculum, like for the educational side or instructional side, they write curriculum, they write, they're recorders in different areas. There's just so much to them. And so that conference is September 28th, 29th, and 30th. It's going to be the evening of the 28th, the morning and evening of the 29th, and then Saturday, the 30th, it'll be a day session. And we've got Matt Tommy. If you guys know Matt Tommy, he is an artist. He weaves baskets, and the Lord called him to raise up an army of artists And that's been his assignment for the past decade, I think. And then the other speaker that we have is Teresa Harvard Johnson. She is amazing. She's a scholar. She goes deep, and I love that deepness, that depth that she dives in. And she has basically been diving deep into the scribal anointing for the past 20 years. And I believe that it's basically for this time, because the Lord wants to raise up an army of prophetic scribes and creatives and bring them to life so that we can grab a hold of everything that He's placed inside of us and actually go out and advance His kingdom. And in that video, I talked about, and a few videos I've done before, where we think creativity is a certain way, but there's more happening with creativity than we think. It's actually warfare. We're showing up to create, and we're doing warfare at the same time. And so I just love that aspect. I think it gives us more meaning and more motivation to begin to show up to create. So again, that conference is the Rise Up Conference, September 28th through the 30th at North Palm Church in North Charleston. And you can go register right now at www.northpalm.org. And you guys, I hope to see you there. Bring some friends, share it. If you're out of town, out of the state, drive down, fly down, do what you got to do to get there, because I know there's going to be so much that's poured out to everyone that attends. And you don't have to be an artist, because everybody has creativity inside of them. Every single one of us. Why? Because God is the master creative. He created all of us, right? And He dwells inside of us. And so that makes us all creatives. So you guys enjoy your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Love y'all.